What if I told you that two words, Spike and Lee, could spark a lot of ideas, whether it's movies, pop culture references, history, and the like? I just want to show you how powerful your imagination can be with just two words, Spike Lee. How far can I go? Will I be able to come up with great ideas? Or will I get stuck along the way? Let's see. Alright, so I'm gonna sometimes use letters from the name or the surname. Sometimes I might have an idea and just keep going from that idea, but we all know that this is the root. This is the foundation of the idea, if that makes sense. So when I think of Spike Lee, I think of actor, right? He was an actor in his own movie. I think it's Do the Right Thing, right? Or was it School Days? But he directed both of those movies, so I'll write those names here. So School Days, School Days. He's also, by the way, he's also a film director. He directed movies such as Inside Man, She Hate Me, I think it's Black. Wait, I think it's Black Lensman or something, if I'm not mistaken. Do the Right Thing, right? I believe this is the movie that has Giancarlo Esposito, who has starred in films such as Maze Runner, the Maze Runner sequel. I think it's Scotch Trails or something, if I'm not mistaken. It was also Gus Fring, right? In Breaking Bad. And Breaking Bad has Bryan Cranston, who used to voice some monsters in Power Rangers. Was also the dad in just need to sit down. Was also the dad in Malcolm in the Middle. By the way, I'm using one hand to record and another to write. So if stuff is out of focus, just know that it's not deliberate. It's just that I'm locked in whatever it is that I'm doing. Malcolm in the Middle stars Frankie Muniz. As the titular character, right? And then going back to, Frankie Muniz was in Agent Cody Banks. Cody Banks, right? And this, by the way, if I were to continue with this rabbit hole, Agent Cody Banks had I think it was the sequel though. It had Anthony Anderson. Who, first time I actually saw Anthony Anderson, by the way, was in a sitcom called Hang Time. Was quite young then. This is around the time when things like CD Guys and stuff came out. But anyway, after Hang Time, I started seeing him on a lot of stuff like Kangaroo Jack. Romeo Must Die. It was all about the Andersons. Do you remember that sitcom? He was also in what's that movie again? Me, Myself, and Irene. Oh, I just thought of something else now. I hope you can read my handwriting. I'm actually just writing in a rush. He was on Baby's Daddies, right? Or was it Baby Daddies? I'll just call it Baby Daddies for now. I remember it also had Eddie Griffin in this movie. I think it also had Bei Ling, right? Is it Bei Ling? Like that? It also had Method Man. And the actor in Sopranos. Just don't know his name. Alright. So going back to Frankie Muniz, right? Or rather, let me just put it, yeah, Frankie Muniz. Frankie Muniz was in Agent Cody Banks, as I've mentioned earlier, but he also had a cameo in Lizzie McGuire. I don't know. Is it like this? I think I'm butchering that surname. That stars Hilary Duff. By the way, Hilary Duff was also in the sequel to Agent Cody Banks. Right? Hilary Duff starred in Lizzie McGuire, but she was also in a film called Beauty and the Briefcase. She was also a singer. She's actually a singer. She had a song called Beat of My Heart. She is in How I Met Your Father. Which is a spin-off of How I Met Your Mother. Right? Before I go too far here, because trust me, I can. Because I can list the cast of How I Met Your Mother. But I just want to go back to... Alright, so going back, How I Met Your Mother had a spin-off called How I Met Your Father, which stars Hilary Duff, who has a song called Beat of My Heart, who also starred in a movie called Beauty and the Briefcase. As I've mentioned before, Hilary Duff, who was in Lizzie McGuire when she was a lot younger, and had a role in Frankie Muniz's Agent Cody Banks. Frankie Muniz also did Big Fat Liar, but that's a story for another day. It also had Anthony Anderson, who also was in Blackish, by the way. I think now he's in a movie called G20, but that's a story for another day. I just want to come back to Spike Lee, okay? So coming back here to Spike Lee, Spike. When I think about Spike, I also mentioned that he's a director, right? Yes. I think of a character called Spike Spiegel. Spike Spiegel from an anime called Cowboy Bebop. Which clearly was inspired by Lupin the Third, which is an animated series, is also an anime, but if it was an anime, I believe it was a manga by an author called Monkey Punch. May he rest in peace. Okay, now Spike in the dub, meaning the English dubbing of the anime, was voiced by Steve Blum. Steve Blum also voiced Wolverine in Wolverine and the X-Men. He also voiced a lot of different characters, but I guess that's a story for another day. But I think I should also add that he voiced Amon in The Legend of Korra. Right? So that's Spike alone. If I were to just look at the words Ike remind me of a South African advocate by the name of Ike Khumalo. Ike Khumalo, as I've mentioned before, is an advocate, right? Meaning that he is well versed in law, but also he shares his thoughts on podcasts, right? So some of the podcasts that I've seen him on are The Convo Show, all right, and The Hustler's Corner, so the Convo Show is hosted by Penwell, the Black Pen. Story for another day. And there's also Tebogo Kibine here. That's an E, by the way. It's just a small E. I think it's K Bine, who owns Tribal Media House. Right? I think it has guys like I think is it Caesar Dube, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And then so I've seen going back to Ike Kumal, I've seen him on the Convo Show, The Hustler's Corner, which is by DJ Boo. There's also in an episode with Nota there. They call that show Nota Mondays. But I've also seen him on Kota and Chill, which is also a podcast. By the way, just go like and subscribe to these podcasts that I've mentioned. They're really good. He is an advocate, as I've mentioned before, but he also has an acting background. He was in Generations, actually. Back in the days when he was a lot younger. And he was a model. I don't know, I think he must have entered Mr. South Africa, if I'm not mistaken. Right? So, as you can see, this page is nearly full with ideas that stem from Spike Lee. So I need to see if I can come up with sorry, this is out of focus for some reason. Now I need to see if I can come up with more ideas and fill up maybe this page, which is fine, I don't mind doing. I was hoping that this would at least take me 30 minutes, but we'll see how far it goes, because I might need more time. All right, so Lee, right? Or rather, let me look at Pike. P-I-K-E, right? Pike. When I think about Pike, there's a character in Star Trek called General Pike, right? General Pike, as I said before, not Star Wars, but Star Trek. I saw this character in a movie called Star Trek that was directed by J.J. Abrams. J.J. Abrams also directed Star Wars. He directed Force Awakens. And also directed Rise of Skywalker. Right? But then there was a movie in between here that was directed by Rian Johnson. Called Star Wars Star Wars The Last Jedi. Now, the connection between these Star Wars movies and Spike Lee is that these movies have a character called Kylo Ren. Right? Kylo Ren was portrayed by an actor called Adam Driver. Now, Adam Driver also had a role in Spike Lee's movie, this one, like Black Klansman, and this movie is actually based on a true story. Now, this movie stars, I think it's John David Washington, right? Hey, I'm sorry for the quality of this video because I see it keeps going out of focus. John David Washington is the son of Denzel Washington. Okay, so Denzel was in Inside Man, directed by Spike Lee. Okay. Denzel was also in Malcolm X, directed by Spike Lee. Actually, Spike Lee also acts in that movie. John David Washington is a former footballer, right? Football player. He's a former football player. And he was in a TV show called Ballers. Right? And in the show also has Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson in it. It's sort of like a sports version of a series called Entourage. Alright? Now, coming back to Adam Driver. Adam Driver has also been in Tenet. No, not Tenet, sorry. That's John David Washington. John David Washington has also been in Tenet. Adam Driver was in Marriage Story. He was also in, there's 3 movies that I can think of actually with him in it. Okay, Marriage Story. Then he was in House of Gucci. Right? He was also in This Is Where I Leave You. And he was also in a movie called Silence. Okay, sorry for that spelling, it's horrible. Let me try again. It's just that I'm using one hand to write. So Silence. This movie has Andrew Garfield. It also has Liam Neeson. And it's directed by Martin Scorsese. All right. Now I need to do Lee. All right, the surname Lee. So, all right, Lee. There's Bruce Lee. Who was an actor. I mean, he has a role in The Green Hornet. I think that's what really made him famous in America. Then he ventured into movies and did things like Enter the Dragon. Right? But I think he might have started with The Big Boss. Stand to be corrected there. And then I'm thinking of Game of Life. I think that was his final movie before he passed away. This movie has Karim Abdul-Jabbar. What kind of M is this? Who is a former basketball player, right? And you guys correct me, you'll correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not that much into sports, but I do know that he had a move called, or rather he has a move called the Skyhook, right? He also had a special mention in an anime called Slam Dunk. Which is an anime about basketball. Right? So the anime is from a manga. Manga's coming up for the second time now. A manga by Takehiko Inoue. Right? Takehiko Inoue. Let me sit down. Takehiko Inoue also did another basketball manga called Real. And he had another manga called Vagabond. This one, it's on hiatus. Okay. And when I think about all these so manga is Japanese comics, right? For those who might not know what manga is, it's Japanese. It's Japanese comics. And by the way, he is responsible for popularizing the sport, actually, I think, in Japan, if I'm not mistaken. And there has been some scholarships. Thanks to the manga Slam Dunk. And there are some students who got to play basketball abroad, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, he really made basketball popular. And the main character in his story, Hanamichi Sakuragi, I think that's the name of this main protagonist, was inspired by Dennis Rodman. Who is a former basketball player on the Chicago Bulls, right? This is when Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen were also playing there. All right. So Japanese comic, Japanese. When I think about the Japanese, right, as I've mentioned before, I think of manga, I think of anime. I think of words like Ohio, which means good morning. I think of konnichiwa, which means good afternoon. I think about konbanwa, which means good evening. Think about baka, which means idiot. Think of saiyo nara, which means goodbye. I think of iku. I think iku means let's go. Stand to be corrected on that. Think of hayaku. It means hurry up. I think of mizu, which means water. Right? Simomase. I think it's simomasen, no? Which means excuse me. Right? Now, I'm gonna do part 2 of this because I filled in 2 pages from just thinking about the name Spike Lee. Alright, so I'm just gonna start with Spike Lee, then Bruce Lee, and then take it from there. Anyway, if you have more ideas on this, let me know what you think. But I'm gonna record part 2, and then we'll take it from there. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share this with anybody who you think might want to do this challenge. And if you have ideas of names that you can give me, I mean, I have about 30-something names, 20-something names that I'm gonna try and see how it goes.